College football talk with the coaches. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? A lot, and I mean a lot to unpack for. Of course, got to talk about not just the University of Alabama, but some other college football teams, such as Michigan, such as Washington, such as Texas, and of course, we got to talk about some of the outside placements. Of course, we got to talk about college football overall reactions to some of the rankings. And then we got to preview, some quick previews of some of the games, not just playoff games, but some other bowl games that we're trying to look forward to. Heisman, right? The Heisman talk is going to be next week, and who knows? Because we got two military guys here, so Army, Navy could potentially give some of our insights on that football game as well. But guys, want to of course, welcome the panel as usual, Coach Shawn and of course Coach Smook. How you guys doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm elated. I'm chilling. I'm good. It's big roll tide stuff going on right now.
Like, look, big roll tide, you know what I'm saying? Not the little one, the big one. Like,
Facts.
I mean, every time I rewatch our game, bro, I'm like, that's gonna get fixed. We played the number one team, and I wanted to be Coach Shawn for a minute and be a pessimist, but I'm like, that's the number one team that happened against. We could slide, you know what I'm saying? They did it against the teams we wasn't supposed to do it. I mean, we were supposed to do it against this team right here. We want to see another Georgia. We got the offseason to prepare for that. We got the postseason audit. Keep watching that game, man. You're just gonna start seeing little things where guys were fixing themselves, man. It's like, oh, it was a good thing to watch. So I'm in a good spirits, and then to have Michigan first, oh my god,
woo!
It's like we just keep getting Christmas, bro.
Dream-like scenario.
Yeah,
but trust me, we're going to be talking about that in a quick second. But we want to go over some of the conference championship games, guys, just real quick. I guess we'll start off with no, we're not going to start with Alabama. We'll kind of save that a little bit for last. But let's start off with our opponent, the Michigan Wolverines, Michigan versus Iowa. I don't know if you guys caught that game, but Michigan won the game 26-0. It was one of the sloppiest games I have ever. I mean, no, let me stop that because there was two more games that were sloppier. But we'll start off with that. What you guys think about the performance of Michigan Iowa, and maybe what are some of the things that taking away from that game that that overall wise could present us some problems or things that you're excited to go against the Michigan Wolverines, of course, in that late December period for us?
For me, I'm not sold on JJ McCarthy. I'm not sold on him. I'm not sold on him. Every team that I've seen him play that has at least a decent halfway defense, I'm not sold on that kid. I'm not sold on him at all. They got a very good running back. I give them that. They run downhill very, very well. I'm not sold on JJ McCarthy. I'm not sold on their outside linebackers. I don't think they contain very well on the outside. It's a lot of things I've seen with Michigan that are wholly. They just hadn't played nobody that could really exploit them, right? I think Kyle McCord had his opportunities and did not take them at all. Michigan. To be honest, when I watched that game back, Ohio State should have blew them out.
Blew them out, bro. Like we did, like we should have did Georgia. It should have been Ohio State heavy.
They helped them 3-and-out. They helped them a lot, man. And it's like they wouldn't stick with the run for some reason. I don't know what was going on with Ohio State, man. It's like Ryan Day panicked or something and wanted to be all pass happy. I don't know what happened with that game, but Michigan got a great team. I give them their respect, but I didn't see anything that overwhelmed me or impressed me.
I mean, for me, man, I look at the fact that they just refuse to make any type of major adjustments when it comes to trying to create some productivity. I mean, they stick with what they know. If it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. And I don't know if that's a side effect of knowing that your schedule and the teams that you playing aren't going to match up talent-wise. But against a team that's, like you said, a team that's somewhat able or that can match up talent-wise, that's going to always come back to bite you in the butt. Case in point, Alabama last year, with LSU and Tennessee. When you're not playing discipline, it shows up when a talented roster shows up and can expose where your weaknesses are. And I feel like that's the main thing with Michigan right now. They have yet to play a team that can talent-wise produce 2 wide receivers, let alone 3. That's going to test them in their secondary, which I believe is their best part, but they're not the best. They're not, to me, they're not that good. They don't compare to Alabama secondary or Georgia secondary, let alone I don't think they compare to a Washington secondary. So I mean, even Texas has some flaws in their secondary, and I would choose my spots more often than none than I would against Texas than I would against Michigan. And that's just because they don't like you said, they don't run gap fit. They just really just been overpowering guys and out talenting the guys, and that don't get you wins in the playoffs against a team like Alabama or Texas, or I don't think that even gets you a win against Washington. So it's going to be interesting to see how they adjust going into the postseason.
Yeah, and you know what? I think for the Michigan Wolverines, they're a very heavy, run scheme. They try to incorporate more pass heavy. Ever since that Georgia game in 2021, they try to incorporate more of an SEC style of play. And then all of a sudden they met Georgia. That didn't work. So they try to incorporate a little bit more pass heavy into their offense. But the problem is that it's stubbornness. It's either they didn't want to try to. It's either with Josh Gaddis, it's more speed and space with a lot of these receivers. And now all of a sudden with Moore, right? They're for Michigan's offense, right? They do a lot of quote unquote pig and pull, where it's just a lot of pulling with the guards and guard center tackles. And they love to just try to just smash it down into you. They love to try to, be physical with you. But I watched that Iowa game, guys. Iowa, for the most part, was filling in those gaps whenever they were trying to pull with their center guards and tackles. They were filling in them in a hurry. Now, Iowa, Kirk Ferentz, those defenses are disciplined, extremely disciplined defenses. But the fact that their speed, Iowa's defense, the defensive line, their front was matching up with their speed. I'm not going to lie to you. That was concerning because Michigan's one of the best pulling, like again, that pig and pull system they do with Moore, with Moore as their offense coordinator. It's one of the best in the country, supposedly one of the best in the country. But when all of a sudden, when you meet a team that can match up that front, doesn't look that hot. What was you going to say, Coach?
Just the gap contain system that we like to preach to our front, that goes out the window, and they get to do what they was doing when they was coming out of high school, beat the man to the spot, And that's literally all Iowa was doing. They were aggressively attacking the run game. Any gap that presented itself, there was assigned guys off a run reach to hit gaps. And that it makes it simple. As much as they like to pull in things, the lack of pre-snap motion, the lack of QB, threat as a runner makes you able to commit, and I honestly believe we was able to commit 6 to the box and stop Georgia's run game and how they run block and scheme, which fits our style of play defensively more. I think athletically we can keep 6, maybe drag a 7 guy in the box every now and then and contain their run game and force them to do what we think their weakness is, and that's try to push the ball downfield.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about, for some reason, I just keep thinking about Michigan's offense because all year we've been told that this is a very, very not simplistic offense, but this was a very, for the most part, exotic offense, right? Joe Klatt said that this is one of the more pass-heavy teams that Michigan's ever had. J.J. McCarthy hasn't thrown for 300 yards in I don't know how many weeks. But again, this pin and pull offense that has a lot of daggers and crossers in their offense is not going to work. This is, Georgia was the perfect game right before, because what did Georgia do? What was one of Georgia's best rushing schemes against Alabama? That right, pulling the guards, forming a lot of those trap plays until Alabama made the key adjustments after that first drive and stopped all that. So all of a sudden we're going against a team that primarily they live off the pin and pull, and that's something that Alabama has shown adjustments that they can completely stop. I just don't see where Michigan honestly has an advantage offensively. I don't see where they have the advantage.
Right.
Let me give a big shout out to my brother Anthony Riggins in the chat. That's my homie, straight from the Army, straight from 10th Mountain, straight from 88 Mike. Love that dude to death. He had surgery, man. He walking around with one arm right now, man. Love that dude. That's my bro for sure, for sure. Roll Tide to you, Anthony. Tap in, bro. Miss you.
For sure. Gavin Kane says, with the $4.99 super chat, says, brother, Saban went to Butler today. Patrician Academy, a team I used to play against. He's recruiting a bad white boy, bad defensive end. And then Katrina Blackman. Yeah, they that's why I love Coach Saban. They like clockwork, man. It's a machine at Bama. Katrina Blackman, Trina, what's up, sis? Coming through with the $4.99 super chat. Roll Tide. And my boy Gavin Kane, he said, I think he was saying in Butler, Alabama. Yeah. So Roll Tide for the $1.99 super chat. He had to donate another. Boy, you got bread. Trying to correct yourself. He ain't even want to go back and edit it. He just Let me give it another $1. No,
hey, shout out to the homie James Richardson too, man. Straight from Georgia. He ain't no punk. He up in here like whatever.
Hey, James, let me tell you, James ain't no Georgia fan, bro. He loves good football. He just so happened to like Georgia as his football team. I think that's where I fall under sometimes.
James, man.
I mean, solid fan. I'm gonna be loyal, but at the end of the day, I love good football. And that Georgia Bama game was just it was a game to watch, man, to the end. I mean, even with the miscues, it was like no team could take advantage. And when it was time, the team that was most prepared and most battle tested, that's who prevailed. And I feel like I think all of our points and our final thoughts on that game, I think that's where we get the edge going into the playoffs too, man. Minus Texas, Texas was the only team that was able to catch us green, but I think that's the advantage we got on every team in the playoffs up ahead of us.
Absolutely. I guess for the most part, and I'll say before we get some of our closing thoughts on this topic, but I'll just say this, guys. Iowa, for those who are, because it seems like everybody was impressed, including the committee. That's why Michigan moved all the way up to number 1, even though I think Washington should be the number 1 team in the country. That they shut them out pretty much 0 points. Guys, Iowa, I'm not even looking at it from a personnel standpoint, but it's just overall from a schematic standpoint, that's one of the most flawed offenses I've ever seen. That's their offense is literally the definition of having a 90 style type of tempo offense. It's literally stealing candy from a baby, that offense. And for an offense that barely can score 13 points per game, and the fact that they won 10 games on the backbone of their defense and their special teams, I'm not surprised by the 0-26. Matter of fact, 10K tweets trending on Twitter when it was hashtag game over, because after when Michigan scored that field goal, people thought that the game was actually over, which people stand to be corrected. So I'm not impressed by Michigan's resume. I think they have a really good secondary. I think they're very disciplined. I think they're very disciplined up front, including in the back end. But their offensive line is, even though they're physical, they have not faced a defense like ours. For me, as far as speed, athleticism, size, I don't think they've met anything like Alabama, and that includes mobility of Jalen Milroe. So that's just kind of my thoughts about it.
For me, I'm looking forward to the Texas-Washington game.
Yeah.
I say in a perfect world, and we all know this world is not perfect, Texas should blow this team out, because I don't think they're going to be able to stop them. I don't think Washington's going to be able to stop them for too long if Steve Sarkisian is in his bag. But if Texas go out there fumbling around, not getting no pressure on Michael Penix, not playing sound on the back end, because Texas got a lot of young guys back there in the back end.
Yes, they do.
And Penix is a veteran. Him and Bo Nix is about 35 apiece, man.
He got McMillan back.
Exactly.
That slot receiver.
Exactly, man. So if Texas don't come out and do what Texas is supposed to do, they're gonna look up in the fourth quarter and that ass gonna be in a fight.
Right. And to me, what they have to do, man, they have to do just like they were able to do against us, be able to get pressure to Penix with 4 and 5 man pressures, because Penix don't have the athletic ability that Jaden Daniels or Milroe, what they present, and as far as using their legs, but he can get mixy with you. You know what I'm saying? He can get mixy and create plays downfield. And the way he likes to push the ball downfield, a team like Texas can be susceptible to that. You remember Milroe missed a lot of reads on Texas that week too. Down the field, 15 outside the hash reads, 15 plus outside the hash, where he could have, been hitting like the pass he hit, the bonds that everybody keep complaining about. If Milroe was able to see a lot of those against Texas, because they were opening up, and he learns to throw those timing. Penix throws those routes. He loves those routes. His deep crossers. I mean, look what he did to Oregon on the deep crossers, man. When they was running the deep mesh pad concept, that thing was lethal. It was like Oregon could not understand this, leave a safety over top. They kept letting a strong safety or they linebacker drag on there. He was just lobbing it over their head to the outside between, the numbers, and he was eating them up. So Texas definitely going to have to get pressure, or their offense. I don't think Washington's defense presents much of a threat to what Texas likes to do offensively. But they can't slow them down. They won't stop them from scoring 28 plus, but they can definitely slow them down. And if they can get their offense going and keep that Texas front, it could be a good game.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, I mean, speaking of that, we do got to talk about the Big 12 championship. We're going to give our reactions to that. Oklahoma State versus Texas in a game that, damn you, BYU. Damn you for choking that lead, man. Because I wanted to see I wanted to see that rematch between Texas and Oklahoma, but unfortunately we didn't get it. Kind of your reactions about it. Were there anything that surprised you? Anything that just kind of disappointed you about that game? What do you guys think?
I mean, for me, bro, the proof is in the pudding, man. This thing is. I'm glad Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC. I'm glad it's going to a 12-team playoff because now those rematches is more likely to see some of those early season rematches happen without there being a fear of, more deserved. I really believe Georgia deserves to be in a playoff situation. I believe Florida State deserves to be in a playoff situation, not the top 4 teams, but a playoff situation. I believe, if you want to see, I don't think Oregon makes it, but a team like JMU or those bottom feeder teams that are really doing work, give them a chance to be in this 12 team. They deserve a playoff opportunity. Ole Miss, Missouri, teams like that come through the gauntlet, Tennessee, like they deserve a look, man. When they could squeeze out 9-10 wins or 8-9 wins in the SEC and still maintain that top 25 ranking, you deserve a chance to be in some type of playoff situation, because that means you only a few plays from being in it. You know what I'm saying? So I know I hate it for Florida State, but at the same time, I did not want to see another TCU situation. And I feel like Texas, the way they handled their conference championship, it wasn't impressive at all. But man, we know Sarkisian and how he calls it offense. That was not a Sarkisian coach offense that night. I don't know. And they still handle business. So nothing surprising, nothing disappointing. But like you said, man, I wish BYU would have handled Oklahoma that week they had them. Oh my God.
For me, Oklahoma State, man, I don't know what the hell their offensive game plan was. Like, that coach Gundy, he's a risk or reward type guy, man. It's like some games he called like the perfect game. He's spot on. He's in his bag. And some games he just called games like he don't give a what. He just call them, man. I don't understand some of the calls that guy made. I was lost. I don't know what he was trying to do. And then he had this crazy look on his face, like he'd rather be playing golf or something somewhere. I don't know what dude talking about. I don't think he presented any challenge to Texas whatsoever. And I think once Texas got ahead, it's almost like they packed it in, man. They I don't know what was going on with that game. It was not a challenge to Texas at all. For me personally, I'd rather see Georgia in the playoffs, man. I mean, that's the toughest team. You know what I mean? Them dudes, to me, I don't understand how you the number 1 team for 2 years straight. You lose a game by a field goal to the number, whatever we are, ranked team 4, and then you drop all the way to 6. That's ridiculous, man. I've been arguing with Florida State fans at my job, everywhere, and I've been telling those guys, I don't know why you mad at Bama. I don't understand why you mad at Bama, because even if Georgia had beat Alabama, guess what?
Florida State still out.
You was still out, bro. They was going to let Texas jump you. Texas.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. We're definitely going to talk about that. Trust me, we're definitely going to get to that.
It's just been, I think this week has been probably the most Bama hate I've seen in a long time, bro.
It feels good, though. It feels so good.
But you know what's so crazy, though, Coach Smook? It's like the hate is coming from people that has no dog in the fight.
No dog in the fight. That's how I know we back, bro. That's how I know we back. Yep. Like, not that I feel like we ever lost anything, but national media was pressing that Bama's out of here agenda so bad. Saban is done. So they was the fact that we handled the number 1 team. Nobody was expecting that. The fact that they ended up respecting the fact that we handled the number 1 team and I won our conference doing it, and our only loss came from another team that they deem as one of the best teams in the country right now. Man, they messed up when they put Texas in that number 3 spot. When they did that, there was no way that they were going to give another team. And I mean, Texas is deserving. Let's not act like they don't. If anybody's not deserving, if Florida State want to be mad at somebody, let's talk about Michigan first, and then let's go start rolling down the line, because strength of schedule, nobody in front of Alabama has a harder strength of schedule, but Texas. I mean, the criteria even lined up to put Alabama ahead of 40 teams that was ahead of them. So I don't know, man. It's delightful though. I will say that.
Like I said, man, we're Thanos. Right before we move on, we're Thanos, man. We are inevitable. So it is what it is. I guess we'll kind of, speaking of that, I do want to talk about that Pac-12 championship game just real quick, because I do think that both these teams, you can make an argument, had definitely deserved their path in. But Oregon, unfortunately, man, the eye test did not pass with that team because they were number 5 for I don't know how many weeks. People, again, I thought they were going to crush them the way that the committee kind of hyped them up, and they lost again, this time on a neutral field in a more, I'm not going to say more dominating fashion, but a more controlling sense. Washington controlled that game damn near, the entirety. I mean, give them a lot of credit. Kind of your reactions about the Washington-Oregon game, and then we can try to move on, of course, the college football playoff reactions.
Go ahead, Coach Smook.
I mean, I don't know where to start, bro. Like, Coach Jay,
you called it. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Like, bro,
Oregon just couldn't. I mean, Oregon couldn't get for weeks. They talked about the eye test, and
that's what I'm saying. What eyes? What eyes were we looking through? What eyes were we looking through?
Bill Hancock.
Consistently inconsistent is the phrase I was riding for the past. And I told y'all, I said they were setting it up when they didn't move us up to at least 6, 7. Like, we wasn't getting no love. And Texas, everybody was in support of Texas trying to get a bump up. And I'm like, we doing the same thing they doing. They literally the team that beat us. So as long as we winning and they winning, you got to drag us along. But they messed around and gave Missouri. They bumped Missouri up after losing to Georgia.
Yeah,
you were outside the top 10, and then you lose to the team, and then they moved up. Like, oh man, nobody in that room was watching football until the conference championship, and they looked at that game. They probably looked at it and said, "Dang, Alabama is a good team. They beating the number 1 team right now. They really should be bleeding." Like most fans, most real fans who watch the game know we should have beat Georgia by at least 18 minimum. A couple of them drives should have ended in 3. But you talk about going to watch that Florida State game, going to watch how Oregon played against Washington the second time around, like to have a worse result. I mean, they had to find a way to cover it up, man. They had to find a way to cover it up, and they did the right thing by putting Bama in, the 4 teams that they have in. But their explanation for why they can't put Florida State in, horrible. Other than the fact we were messing up earlier on.
I figured, man, after I watched that Oregon game, Oregon has an outstanding offense, this, that, and the third. But I looked down their schedule, man. I don't know if they played a decent defense all season.
Nobody, bro. Utah was probably their best, their most.
Utah was sound, but Utah is built to where if they get behind, it might be over for them anyway, right? So once Oregon got up on them a little bit, and I would love to see Oregon face that type of defense in consecutive weeks. Let me see you face some top tier defenses week to week to week. I just didn't see it, man. I think the powers that be wanted Oregon in. They wanted to wish upon a star and put them in. You know what I mean? So, Bo did both things, great, outstanding. But for the same team to beat you twice, man, get out of here. You
can't do that. You can't get in.
Mm-hmm.
And Shawn, you said something earlier about you would love to see Georgia again. Me personally, you know how it is, man. It's hard to beat the team twice.
Yeah. Not necessarily us playing them. I just feel like Georgia, if I'm being honest, Georgia is without a shadow of a doubt.
They definitely top 4, bro.
Yeah,
top 4. I mean, there's no getting around that. Coach Jay, we was hitting it so hard the other night. Like, I hate that it's so many undefeated teams, because if there was 6 1-loss teams, I think we have 2 SEC teams in there. That's just my personal opinion. I think you have Alabama and Georgia in there because your only undefeated team would have been Georgia at the time, and Alabama beats them. You don't take them from 1 to 6 in this situation. With you got more 1-loss teams. They have the others. The next strongest. Well, actually, dang, I can't even say that because their strength of schedule was low too. Compared to everybody else. So it's hard to keep. But to eye test to tell you, and we already know that committee was not using their eyes. They weren't watching football games.
You know what I hope? You know what I hope? I hope real quick that Kirby use us as an example last year after we lost those 2 games by the hairs of our chin, Exactly, and all the guys came back. I hope Kirby used that because I want Georgia to go into this playoff against Florida State and make a point to show we come in next year, and to make a point that how dare you even attempt to put Florida State on the same field with us. I hope Kirby makes a point. I hope those Georgia kids come back, and I hope they dump truck Florida State, man. I just hope they do.
They deserve it.
Man.
They deserve it. Florida State deserve what's coming to them.
Yeah. Gavin Kane with the 199. He says, I'm always locked in. Y'all my favorite. Y'all my favorite trio. Bama
Appreciate
by
you,
50. I mean, first of all, we can hope that actually does happen. So yeah, shout out to you. I'm gonna have to start calling Gavin Kane. I'm gonna start. He's Millionaire Gavin for now on. Millionaire Gavin, man. He like 10 super chats every time we stream, man.
That
boy coming. Millionaire Gavin, man. Millionaire Gavin.
Shout out to Coach Hayes football too. He want to tap in with us. Shout out to Coach Hayes football, man. He got at me. Yeah, man. I'll talk to you guys about that. Shout out to Coach Hayes, man. Knowledgeable cat. Used to work coach at Florida International. Really, really, really good dude.
Oh, absolutely, man, absolutely. But of course, playoff reactions. Of course, we kind of gave our 2 cents. Well, no, I got to give my 2 cents because I've been dying to talk about this. I held back on Monday. Coach Shawn, I seen what you did on Sunday. You were right there for the initial reaction of everything like that. But now I got to give kind of my 2 cents before I kind of pass it on to you guys. Florida State, I will say this. Did they get screwed for going to the college football playoff? Yes and no. They got screwed in the fact that they were undefeated. And anyone that's ever played a competitive sport knows how hard it is to go undefeated in any sport. It's extremely difficult to go undefeated. And the fact that you go undefeated, you go through 5 a.m., you go through like 3 practice sessions a day, you go through 5 in the morning workouts, all that. It's hard film study, getting screamed at. Then you have to focus on your academics. It is hard to go through that process and to especially be a college athlete. So when I first saw that, I wasn't really happy that even we got in. I was glad that we got in, but I felt bad for the players. I felt bad for the coaching staff. I felt bad for the alumni because I know how hard they worked in order for them to get to that point. However, they did not meet up to the college football playoff qualifications. This is nothing new. This is something that's been going on since the introduction of these qualifications. And again, Florida State did not get in for 2 reasons. Number one, their strength of schedule. They had the 55th ranked schedule in the country. And then, of course, the last reason, and this was a big factor, and that is this rule right here, this criteria rule that, and again, these coaches know exactly what it is because they're obligated to know the rules. They're obligated to know the rules. So they knew, Mike Norvell knew this. Florida State Athletic Director, ACC, they knew this. It states other relevant factors such as unavailability of key players and coaches that may have affected the team's performance during the season or likely will affect its postseason performance. And look what we had with Florida State for the Florida game and for the Louisville game. We had 2 incidents. Of games where Florida State had the opportunity to prove the committee wrong. Ohio State made it in because they made it in 2014 because they whipped Wisconsin, who, by the way, had a top 10 ranked defense nationally, and they were 10-3 going in, and they were 10-2 going into that football game. They beat them 59-0. Matter of fact, it was Ohio State's best performance of the season without Braxton Miller and JT Barrett, 2 Heisman finalists, actually.
No way you could leave them out after
contenders. No way you could have moved them out. And I felt bad for TCU and Baylor because they were co-champions. They had the exact same record as Ohio State, and they had a stronger strength of schedule, but they put them in because of the 59-0. So we've had a case of that rule being in favor of Ohio State. That actually boosted them up in there. So this rule has not changed, ladies and gentlemen. This rule has been in place for 9 years. Now we take a look at Florida State, knowing that Mike Norvell and knowing that the rest of this coaching staff and Florida State athletic leadership knows exactly what it is. You have to perform at least to the level that your quarterback and your overall team has displayed. And the fact of the matter is that Florida State, in a combined 2 games against the 5-6 Florida team that had their backup quarterback and true freshman Max Brown, and the other game against a Louisville football team that lost to Kentucky, who Alabama blown out in Lexington, who got blown out by Pittsburgh, for God's sakes. That Louisville team, they only won by a combined I believe 9 points or 16 points. They won that game by a combined 16 points between both of those teams. Guys, that is an absolute disgrace. You have to perform better. You cannot have less in both combined games, less than 230 passing yards. Less than 230 passing yards combined. This team barely gets over the 230 total yards limit. Yards per play massively went down. Yards per pass massively went down. Touchdowns per game massively went down. All of the major statistics, all of the major offensive statistics, if we're trying to measure what they were with Jordan Travis and without Jordan Travis, significantly the production went down. So Florida State did not prove that they can be they did not prove that they were one of the best 4 teams without Jordan Travis. They proved that on the football field. So yes, results matter as far as what win rates goes, but according to the college football playoff, results do matter of how you perform on the football field, of how you look on the football field. The argument is that college football isn't a beauty pageant. Sir, or people, or lady, it has always been a beauty pageant. It's always been about styles. 2004 Auburn went undefeated, didn't even play for a national championship. They had no regulations, no restrictions. They went undefeated. That Jason Campbell team left out. It was one of the best moments being a Bama fan. It was funny as all hell, but I felt bad for those guys because they went undefeated, SEC, Power 5, and they couldn't get in. So we've seen this happen before, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen cases and scenarios of this happening. We've seen Ohio State get left out for us. We've seen Penn State get left out for Ohio State. We've seen certain criteria points hit or miss and inconsistencies that all 3 of us have talked about. So I feel bad for Florida State, but I don't feel bad at the same time for Florida State because you knew the rule. You knew that this criteria was extremely important and you did not live up to expectations. You did not live up to the standard. And because of that, you are sitting home. That is not our problem. That is not an Alabama bias problem. Because if Georgia would have beaten us, who would have gotten it over you? Texas. And we wouldn't be even having this discussion right now. Matter of fact, if Alabama decided to schedule ICDC college, we wouldn't even be having the argument of Bama bias because Bama would have been in the first place, right? Instead, and if we would have got left out, just real quick before I pass it on to you guys, if we decided to schedule ICDC college, we wouldn't be having this discussion. So the fact that we potentially were going to punish a team for going out their way to scheduling a top program, how is that fair? We want to talk about undefeated teams being left out. How is it fair for us to be left out because we decided to have balls or grow a pair and schedule a top-ranked football team? That's not fair. College football, the system is broken. It has been that way for years. It's been that way since this thing was introduced. It should have been expanded after 2014 when you had 6 teams that deserved it, but it didn't. And guess what? We could have had the 12-team playoff this year. But guess who decided to say no to expansion? The ACC commissioner. And that's exactly why Florida State got left out. If only the ACC commissioner would agree to it, we wouldn't be even having this conversation. We'll be previewing 6 games right now on the show instead of just 2.
Let me say this real quick before Coach Smook get at somebody. I can see it already. For me, real quick, Carlos Fulton and Mike Fox, you guys are clearly high. You know what I mean? Clearly. Michigan, your schedule sucks. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling.
Clearly high.
Yeah, you're clearly high. Bowling, Dam, Green, Rutgers, Nebraska. What is that? What is that? Bro, Alabama defeated to my LSU. Bro, LSU went 3-0 like 4 times before that guy even got hurt. That game was over, brother. OVER, done, over, kaput. Let me explain something. Alabama beat LSU, beat Ole Miss, who are both in the top 15, beat number 1 team Georgia, who hadn't lost a game in just about 3 years, played number 3 Texas when we really didn't have to, we shouldn't have, and beat one more team. Who else? It was for like 4 or 5 teams we played that's ranked. Bottom line, they're still ranked now. Let me make sure I say that. Unlike
we got
Oregon,
4 ranked teams now.
Penn State sucks. They don't have any offense whatsoever. I watched you play Maryland. So let's stop. Like, please stop before I call to his little brother to do what he did to you in that game. Please stop. You gonna get enough in January. Nobody's afraid of Michigan. Michigan not even afraid of Michigan. I seen the little reaction when Alabama came across that screen. You thought you had Florida State. Everybody was happy. until that big red A came on the screen. It was like, oh, we got them. You know what time it is. You know what time. But what I want to say real quick is Florida State. The committee actually did right by them, and I'm gonna tell you why. When Jordan Travis got hurt, they didn't drop them. They could have dropped them. They could have instantly reacted and dropped them. They said, nope, let's wait. Let's see how they play. Don't drop them. Don't. Let's not do them wrong. Yes,
they win to Florida and struggle.
Facts. Let's see how they go to Florida. Florida's 5-7. That's a rivalry game. They should beat Florida pretty soundly.
Backup quarterback Max Brown, true freshman.
Exactly. Let's keep them where they're at.
Easy win.
Let's just see what happens. You went into Florida and you look terrible, right? No problem. It's a rivalry game. I know how they go with Auburn. Cool. But this Louisville team, y'all should dump truck them, right? This game gonna be over at second quarter. It's gonna be over because I watched Kentucky beat them up in the trenches at their own house. So go into the Louisville game. It was absolutely terrible on the offensive side of the ball. So the committee said, we can't put that in the playoffs. Not that. We saw TCU. You know how much money they lost after that TCU game with sponsors and people leaving the game early and no more concessions and the gates and all that stuff. So, yes, it's business. It is. It's partially business. But at the same time, they understand that Alabama is going to come in there to win that thing. Win that thing, bro. So you can lie to yourselves all you want, you other fans from Michigan. You can lie. It's okay. It's okay, right? It'll all be worked out in January. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to say.
Listen. These cats right here, Carlos. You're high. I'm gonna agree with my brother. I can assess it. I live in Virginia, but what you smoking ain't what we get privy to. You on some other stuff. To say that Ohio State would beat Bama by 10. You couldn't even beat Ohio State by 10. What are you talking about? Y'all barely won that game. And the offenses that you played, Ohio State is the best offense in your league, and they aren't even in the top 20. They aren't even in top 20 statistically ranked, and they're the best offense in your league. You're the best defense in your league, and you're not top 15, top 20 right now statistically. So what are you getting at? You talking about schedule? Nobody on your schedule has a top 20 ranked anything.
Nobody
on either side of the ball. I mean. Let's go special teams efficiency. Nobody on that list is in top 25 special teams efficiency. Nobody on your schedule. You ECU, UNLV, Bowling Green, Rutgers, Nebraska, Minnesota, Indiana. Like who
Youngstown State?
Who talks about these teams when they talk about football? Michigan State was probably your first hype game because that's your rival and they're a blue blood or whatever historically, but you literally played nobody. There's no way people like Carlos. You know what? I don't even think it's Carlos who thinks like this. You know what I'm saying? I think it's the analysts and, people like us that as fans that get on and, talk football about our teams. I think that's what happened. They go to their channels and they listen to their fans speak emotionally and they never get a play breakdown. They never get a scheme breakdown. They just talk about what happened when they watched the game. Well, when I watched the game when, like we talked about earlier with Michigan, everybody, if they had any type of offensive line or any style of schematics that could expose that slow defensive line, the slow inside linebacker play that you all have, your secondary is the only thing saving you, only because the only passing offense that you played that was close to the top 25 was a Maryland passing offense led by Talia, and his offensive line is hot garbage, which was down 2 starters. And they still played y'all to the end of the game, played y'all within the score. Unranked Maryland team.
They had 111 yards on the ground against Iowa. They had 111 yards.
And y'all think y'all gonna run against Bama?
Be serious, bro.
You think you're gonna run against Bama? We literally had Georgia in a chokehold, one of the best rushing offenses in the nation. And they're down. I mean, Milton is a great running back. Dejon Edwards is a great running back. But when we made our switch from that odd front to that even front, our even front is hard to stop when you have Otis and Keenan. When you got the 2 big guys in the front and you spell in the DN with an outside linebacker with some rotations. You know what I'm saying? You got a Boydby as an end. Then next play, you got Braswell as an end when you get your rush package in. Like, Michigan ain't seen a level of talent like that. Ohio State, name me one star player on Ohio State's defense.
Ohio
you
State's
see what I'm saying? Yeah,
probably, probably, I guess JT Tuamalo and Trent and Denzel Burke.
Probably.
Yeah.
Name me. I can name you Lassiter, Bullard, Stackhouse in the middle. That's Georgia.
Zion,
Texas
Malachi,
Texas has Ford at the linebacker position. They have
Murphy, Sweat.
I could start naming guys. I could start naming dudes. I can't name a dude on Michigan side. I can't name a dude. Yeah, you could. If I go watch a podcast right now or watch ESPN, I might catch one or two names. But you talking about somebody that's actually doing something that got me scared? Give me somebody off your front that's going to do something with Jaden Roberts or J.C. Latham or Tyler Booker. Your best bet is to try to send 4 guys down the middle towards Seth McLaughlin. That's your best bet to try to slow our offense down, because anything else outside of that, I feel like we're gonna have too much time, and it's gonna be so exposed. I can't wait. But Carlos, I'm for real about that I'm all about that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I prize pick, I do FanDuel, all that, but I love to get in them personal pockets too, especially when it comes to my tie. So holla at me if you want to see it. You know what I'm saying?
Mike Ford, let me say something real fast for Coach Jay getting here. You said, and this guy is crazy, bro. First of all,
remember they high.
Yeah, they high. Losing by double digits at home. I keep hearing that. We lost by 10 when we had the lead in the fourth quarter with 9 minutes left to go, bro. Did y'all watch it? You can tell the one when you read the comments. You can tell the ones that don't know that don't really know.
And that's with 2 scores getting called off the board too, Shawn.
So we scored 2 more touchdowns. We got called back, Mike. You know what I mean? I saw you play Maryland. Please stop while you're ahead.
We watched the whole game. Please
stop, man. If Penn State had even had a half a quarterback, you'd have been in some trouble, bro.
Or a receiver. Yeah, if Penn State had a receiver that could run faster than a 4.6,
and Mike, you're talking about USF. Jalen Milroe didn't even play in that game, right? That was the third game of the season, bro. Third game of the season. If you're still harping on USF by this point, and I'm gonna say one word that should scare every Michigan fan. It should scare you. Jane Richardson, I hope you're still in the chat. I'm gonna say one word that should absolutely run you away from my chat, Mike. Georgia. I saw what they done to you the year you went in, because I hope you seen we did to your brethren, Ohio State. You know what I mean?
You remember what Mac Jones did to them? You remember what Mac Jones did to them boys a few years back?
They brethren. Yeah, they brethren. They're Buckeye. Ain't that a nut? Come off a tree or something? A Buckeye? Somebody told me that was a nut. Is that a nut? So, bro, stop it. The word Georgia should make you cringe, because I watched them beat you like you stole something. They knocked your block clean off.
Please you watch us play Auburn. Auburn is going to play us like that anytime we go to Jordan. I'm done with Carlos. Carlos, the only thing I want to see from you is you trying to take this gentleman's bet for this game. I even go as far. I just want you to post a picture of you in some Bama gear, a good Bama sweatshirt. That's it. A t-shirt or something when we beat y'all. I don't even want to hit your pockets. You probably got kids. You know, I deal with the child support thing. I ain't trying to hit nobody's pockets like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you talking crazy, man. You clearly offer that good or something. You done hit something and you out of there. I'm sorry, man, because you haven't been watching Michigan play. If you really talking, I
respect it though, Mike. I like you, Mike. You support your team. I like you, Mike. I like people like you. Make sure you tap back in, man.
They got Michigan goggles and stuff like that out there too.
Yeah, make sure you tap back in after the game.
They all have team goggles, man. Let's try to get to some of these super chats real quick. We got the 199 get from Millionaire Davin. He said, "We are in Michigan's head rent free. They on Bama shell." Well, this is how it is. We must say we're not on Michigan shells. It is what it is. Nicholas Harden with the 499. He said, "Thanks for all the words. Thanks for all the work that you put in. Roll Tide." Nicholas Harden again with another 199 super chat. He says, "Trying to say work." We got you. We got you. Coach Shawn, you want to take care of DeMarco?
Here we go. Get him, Shawn. Yep. I remember the reaction from Notre Dame lady when that big red A popped on the screen on the CFP show 2020. Go blue. Exactly. DeMarco, It's okay. It's okay, because you know what? The truth is in the details. And the details say your team don't want it. You know what I mean? Bama would have been cheering. We don't give a who we play. We don't care. Put them in front of us, right?
You know what's funny, bro? You know what's funny? That Michigan reaction was like, you remember, you be in the locker room, or did you just chilling with your cousins, your male cousins, and y'all wrestling and stuff, and they kind of got the best of you, like, man, I'm done playing, and then you sit down, and they buck at you, and you flinch, and then you act like you were straight. That's what Michigan did in that video, man.
Yeah, let's go and clap because the cameras in. Let's clap.
What?
Yeah.
They had to remember those cameras in that room. I'm telling you, even some of the players, this is how undisciplined they are. They were so undisciplined. A few of the players got up and started. Go watch that video again. They know what time it is, man. Carlos, I feel like you did the same thing when that doggone thing. What? Alabama? They're putting Alabama in. We gotta play out. Oh my goodness! I know you was tripping. I feel like that's how your voice is too, Carlos. What?
You got to put that Canadian accent, man. Listen, people from North Michigan, we have a Canadian mixture. We have a Canadian mixture in there, so man. So we got to get that. We got to get that check, coach. We got to get that check.
Let's steal their signs. Maybe we'll have a chance.
Oh, Connor Stallions, man. Hold on. He's hiding super chats real quick. I don't know what Connor Stallions.
Yeah, hiding them super chats. You know, he be trying to.
I don't know. He's going. Yeah, but Aaron Gore. Oh, go ahead.
Let's steal Bama signs. Maybe we'll have a chance.
Maybe. Like I said, I don't want hiding.
Not gonna happen, Mike. You in for a rude awakening, brother.
Aaron Goodwin with the $5 super chase. If Clemson didn't crap the bed, the ACC might have cleared the Big Ten this year. Both of them conferences are hanging on by your thread. Stop it, Mike.
You see the realignment, man. The realignment is telling it all. Michigan, Ohio State, they need somebody with some hype in order to give them that validation. And they're not going to go out and get Florida State, or they're not going to go and try to get Oklahoma or Texas or another team that can actually come in that conference and compete. They're going to go and get an Oregon. They're going to go get a Colorado. They're going to go get, all these Pac teams that can't really come out and really take over. Now, what I will say is this. Michigan has handled their schedule, but you literally play ICDC college 8 out of the 10 weeks. You get what I'm saying?
Progressive.
I mean, you playing the Geico commercial Lizard and they crew. You playing the lady from
Minnesota.
I mean, come on, dog. Like, it's gonna be January 1st. Gonna be such a delightful day.
Western Kentucky, get out, man.
Come on, man. And it just continues to go to show you, man. That's why I love college football, man. The fans are so widespread because I've talked to Michigan fans and they hate the matchup. They're coincided with a lot of people who watch college football or watch football in general. And you don't get many Jalen Milroe situations to deal with in a season. And you don't get ready for a Jalen Milroe situation in a matter of 2.5, 3 weeks. You just
who do they see in the Big Ten that's comparable to him?
No, nobody. Not even close. Not even close. I looked at every quarterback on every roster that they played. And I some of these teams, they have projected rosters, but you go back and look at the stats. ECU had the most athletic quarterback that they've seen the whole season. And that's even with Kyle McCord. And ECU's quarterback is a dual threat quarterback, and he had no success against Michigan, but that's ECU, bro. Like, you're gonna tell me you satisfied with stopping your closest thing to Jalen Milroe that you've seen this season, played the first game of the season, and literally that's what you're gonna bank off of being able to just nah. And Jim Harbaugh is a horrible play caller when it comes to making adjustments in games. So I if they don't get started early, if they don't present any type of test early, that Michigan game gonna be crazy. But yeah, the committee got it right with the 4 best teams. We've been on this junk for a minute. I'm sorry, y'all. Some of these fans they take it, bro. They got it right at the end of the day.
I mean, Mike, we expect you to be around, Doug. We don't just expect because we're gonna be around Mondays and Wednesdays for the most part. We're gonna be doing a lot more previews, so we expect you to be around. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun, Mike.
Bring your partner.
We're gonna have a lot of fun with you, man.
Talk your talk, bro.
Yeah, man. Bring all of them for real. I like it.
Oh yeah. But speaking of that, I kind of want to talk about the Heisman Trophy, and I guess we'll try to go quick on this. I do want to get the Army Navy because you guys are military guys. I definitely want to get your thoughts on that. But we got the Heisman Trophy ceremony. The finalists are revealed. Of course, you have Jalen Daniels, Bo Nix, Marvin Harrison, Michael Penix. They'll be in New York. No surprise by that. But is there any chance that a particular player could get snubbed? Jaden Daniels. Is there a possibility that he can get snubbed and that maybe somebody else like a Michael Penix, Bo Nix, or maybe a Marvin Harrison could potentially, get that Heisman Trophy award? I know a lot of the last, I guess, controversial Heisman winner was Derrick Henry, believe it or not. A lot of people hated the fact that Derrick won that Heisman over Christian McCaffrey. So kind of what are your thoughts about that?
Man, for me, Jaden Daniels is the best player in the country, right? I mean, he's the quarterback. Obviously, we know the position of quarterback, how important that is. Jaden Daniels, man. If it's a stat award, the guy laps these guys in the stats that matter, right? I think they may possibly try to hold his team's record, above his head, but he plays in a much tougher conference, man. Right? He's actually seeing top defenses every week, right? So, this committee has been sweet on the Pac-12 all year long, right? So it wouldn't shock me if they gave it to Penix or Bo Nix. They both 35 years old. It's okay. Been playing college football about 9 years. It's all right. Jaden Daniels is the best player. And I guarantee you, all you Michigan fans, all you Washington fans, watch you get drafted first out of those three. Guarantee you Jaden Daniels will go before both of them.
Man.
That's really what matters.
And I'm right there with you, but to keep it on the college football perspective, man, like you said, the numbers have to matter when it comes to Heisman. That's why Derrick Henry won it that year, because he was the running back that had the best running back numbers. Christian McCaffrey had just crazy plays all year. Derrick Henry was just he was Alabama's offense. Honestly, if he wasn't going, it was hard for us to go. And I think that year, he had eight or nine games of over 100 rushing yards or 150 or something like that.
Yeah, both of them were insane. I mean, Christian McCaffrey broke Barry Sanders' record for for all purpose, and then Derrick Henry had the most rushing yards in SEC
30 carries against Georgia.
It was
man. It was. But this year, not as electrifying the amount of plays Bo Nix made. I could give you 3 plays in one game that Jaden Daniels made every game. I mean, the kid, the like we was giving Carson Beck a lot of credit for his release points, how he just dissects defenses and he goes through his progressions. Jaden Daniels does it on another level because he'll do it on the move, man. I mean, just to see his growth from last year to this year, how he slides protections, and that offensive line was not good at all for him this year.
Right.
No.
To do what he did, man, it's almost kind of like what Bryce did. Bryce didn't have a great offensive line. He had some crazy good receivers. He had J-Mo and Mechie out there to toss it up to, and Billingsley, it wasn't Billingsley. It was Jaleel Billingsley at tight end that year when Bryce was going off. Him, Jaleel Billingsley.
Latu. That was B was number 2. Latu was the number 1 guy.
Billingsley was making all his highlight plays for him, though. Latu was a clutch guy for him, but talking about stretching the field, J-Mo, Mechie did it, and you saw what Jaden Daniels was able to do with Neighbors and Brian Thomas. Lacey was his third receiver, and that all 3 of those guys might potentially go first round. Lacey might stay another year and go from first round next year, but then you got the tight end and Jason Thomas's son. What's it, Mason Thomas?
Yeah, Mason. Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor. I said Thomas. I'm sorry. Mason Taylor, that kid's he's just continually building stock. He's that hybrid tight end that can block, can split, can sure-handed, can get upfield, make yards after catch. So Jaden Daniels did not waste his opportunities with the weapons he had afforded to him, and to have the struggles in front of him, and to do it in the SEC. There's no way you keep this man from taking it. And I said it when we played him, man. Even though he went down, for our defense to do what we did against him and to disgruntle him and disrupt what he was doing, we knew he was going to score points. But to hold him to that much under the average definitely was a testament to how good our defense is. But he still got his numbers against us. And you've seen what our defense has been able to do all season. So I hats off to Jaden. But if I did see somebody taking it from him, it'd probably be Bo Nix, man. Bo Nix been in that getting that hype since he was a freshman. And I don't know. I don't think that Washington game hurt him enough to pull him all the way out from stealing it from whoever's in front.
I think if they don't give it to Jaden, I think they'll give it to Penix just because of how they do with the season. He's undefeated.
Yeah, he's had more memorable. He's had more memorable moments probably out of all the people so far.
I think they'll give it to him just off some pure look what he did for his team. I would love to see Washington play an SEC schedule, with defensively. Bo Nix, we saw him play an SEC schedule, right? We've already seen that movie before. Go to Oregon and look like a Terry Bradshaw around here. So we've seen both. I'd love to see these guys come back to this conference where they're facing top 10 defenses every week. The most players drafted every week, right? So, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think Jaden. Well, first of all, here's a crazy stat. Jaden Daniels has 230. I think he has 200 and let me read this right. He has 236 passing attempts. Bo Nix has 336 completions.
Facts.
That's nuts. That's insane. Bo Nix has more completions than Jaden Daniels has thrown the football, and yet I'm sorry, and yet Jaden Daniels.
Make sure you read that to Mike Ford talking about Jaden had 100 more snaps. Mike, if you know football, Mike, listen to this stat. This completely rips your argument apart.
Right.
I'm gonna read it again because this is actually insane. Jaden Daniels has more passing attempts than Bo Nix has completions. Bo Nix has 100 more completions than Jaden Daniels has thrown the football, and yet Jaden Daniels is leading the country in yards per attempt. He's top 5 in the country in completion percentage. He's 3rd in the country in passing yards. And again, if you would have played that extra in the SC championship game, that's 4,000. Jaden Daniels has 3,812, and we're not even factoring what he's doing on the ground.
That is crazy.
We're not even factoring that.
Like that is crazy, bro.
Like for people to sit up here and say, well, Michael Penix has the more memorable moments, and Jaden Daniels is his team. If that's a 4-way,
he's literally the offense.
Daniels. He's the team.
Hold up, Jay. I got to jump on your point and help you. He is accounted for, I think, 78% of the team's total offense.
It's crazy.
The last player to do that, I believe, was Derrick Henry when he was accounting for 58% of Alabama's offense that year. Yeah. With Jake Coker and that
Cam and Lamar had more. I mean, they had like 70. I think they were on that ballpark.
That is crazy. 5,000 total yards from one player in the season. That is 5,000 plus yards from one player, and not throwing the ball 60 times a game either. I mean, the numbers are up there, but man, to have completion percentages like and be in games, have play as a ranked team, a nationally ranked team in the top 10, top 20 all year. Like this guy's something different, man. And I'm telling you, the only thing keeping and this ain't part of this subject, but the only thing keeping Milroe out of this conversation and being on that same level, like literally, he's literally a game worth of snaps, pass attempts, rush attempts behind everybody in front of him. You let him come out and play the USF game. You don't know what happens with Milroe. He gets loose on the ground. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what happens. So you take Milroe out the picture. Nobody's doing it on both levels. Bo Nix is not doing it with his legs or with his arm the same level as Jaden and Penix. They doing one or the other. They not doing both. That is crazy, man. You don't get that.
Carlos Fulton. Bro, you talking about what we gave up? Carlos, listen to me when I say this. We won. What the hell are you talking about?
A team with one good player, Jaden Daniels, put up 28 points in 3 quarters against y'all. Guess what? We put up with them against them.
What you talking about?
I mean, like, what do you like? Do you only? I'm not giving it to him.
Yeah. Keep going, bro. Keep going.
I'm done with because Carlos don't want to bet no money. So my dad always told me if a man can't put his wallet where his mouth is, you can't respect him. You know what I'm saying? So, So it is what it is. Yeah, he enjoying being a troll, man. Yeah,
it's okay. He catch out the Carlos. Keep bringing the Carlos.
Because at least I know how to find trolls. I like. I know how to find you. You got socials and everything. I'm gonna find you. And Bama Nation they like the gang up. I usually don't call for the dogs.
I like trolls that make sense, man. If you can, that's why I used to like. That's how we got close to Richardson from Georgia. John, he came in trolling with facts. You know, troll with facts. That make us take you serious, right? Don't just talk crazy. That means you make yourself look like a goof. It's okay.
Let me go find this for Carlos so we can make him feel better. Michigan's last national championship.
Man.
Oh, you mean their co-national championship?
Dude, look, Carlos and Mike. No freshman in the history of freshmen that's 18 years old, or hell, even if you're a 22-year-old freshman, has no recollection. Let me get close to the mic for this one. They have no recollection of your team ever even being good. You don't knock it off. They have no recollection of your team winning anything. You don't knock it off, man. Talking to Michigan. Boy, stop.
Man, Game Boys was hot when Michigan won. They last natty, bro.
Exactly.
That's
I think about Sega Genesis was out back in those days.
Boy,
yeah, I don't even think Game Boys came out then. I don't know, bro.
I think it was. I think that must say. I know, like you got the
Sega.
Nintendo Super.
You talking about that one when it came out?
Yeah, you got the Sega, the Atari.
97? What, bro? Do you know back in 97, we didn't even have jerseys in college that fit your arm tight. We had to put shoestrings in our jerseys.
Yeah. They had the big cowboy collars then.
Bro, if you don't get on out of here, bro. Mike,
they was wearing neck braces as cowboy collars. The cowboy collars that came up over your helmet.
Like Carlos, Mike, I like y'all, bro. Stop it. Stop it.
Y'all definitely could cause of the barbecue, bro.
Yeah, man. Y'all lie with me.
Dave Kendall said with the $2 super chat, he said, Carlos, I got 20 a point, or we can go 25K flat. All right, David. Look, before you start making the bets, just super chat about 1K of that real quick. And we can call it a bet. You know what I'm saying? We gonna lock in the bet for you here. You just 1K super chat that bet. I'll just play it, man. Yeah, lock David, in, Carlos.
David, what did David? Of course, he had another super chat. So he said, "Yeah, what did Brian Kelly say?" I'm very curious. I mean,
I heard it.
Of course,
I did.
Yeah,
Brian
Kelly.
I heard it. He pretty much said in a nutshell that it kind of sucks for them to win all these games, but it's the 4 best teams, and they were not one of the 4 best teams based on the criteria that they got out
was
there.
Displayed on the guidelines. They got to follow the guidelines. James Washington with the $5 super chat. He says Mike must be gone off the pert or something.
Joseph.
Yeah, it's
gone.
Trolling.
He gone, man. He gone.
This is trolling.
Yeah, he trolling.
But
back to that point about Kelly. Kelly made it plain and simple, man. He was like, it's unfortunate, but you can't. He said, I honestly can't sit here, and he said both of these teams are great teams. He said, I honestly can't sit here and say that Florida State team, and he doesn't have to say it with his words. You know, you have to be politically correct when you're in that type of position. You don't want to take you want to be a professional as a coach. You don't want to take no shots at a coach you don't have an issue with. You know, Kelly and Norville, they don't have no issues. You know, they don't run in the same circle. So there's no reason to create no flack or to give the media no bias. But he basically was saying, you can't tell me that the team that we lost to in week 1 would beat us last week with their 3rd string quarterback. And that's basically what it came down to. If Alabama was able to decisively beat us with basically what we brought to the Florida State game, and we weren't the same team. We showed up, they played against the Florida State because we actually were a better team offensively by the time we got to Alabama. But if LSU was to show up against Florida State last week in place of Louisville, LSU probably drops 40 plus on Florida State, and Florida State offense is not able to score because of who they have at quarterback. And you don't want to, you know, from a value standpoint, for respect of the game, you don't want to have another situation. And it ain't just about TCU. I could go back to what we did to Washington that year. I could go back to what we did to Michigan State, what Alabama did to Notre Dame, the last BCS, you know, the last BCS national championship that we played against them in. Like, it's just teams like that. You don't want to allow those type of things to happen when all of America, social media, majority of it, you talking about billions of views, and we're going to run them off because we want to feel good for it. A feel good story that's not going to give us what we need. Value. It's hard to beat that, and it's not right. It's not. We're not saying it's right. It's just the nature of what this game has been built off
sucks. The system sucks. But
that's what the system.
You had 9 years to change it. You had 9 years to change it. Then nobody wanted to do nothing. Nobody wanted to do nothing after 2014. This because guess which conference was trying to expand it? Greg Sankey in the SEC.
Yep.
Everyone else said no, it was a bad idea. I think the only conference that supported us for a while was the Big 12. We tried to do it this year.
Because the Big 12 knows what happens with them. They beat each other up just like we do.
They wanted it. I mean, we had an opportunity to get 12 teams this year, and the ACC, Pac-12, and Big 10 said no. So, I mean, this is what it is. We got to follow the playoff, the 4 time. I mean, again, it's stupid because we have 5 power conferences
and 4 slots.
And only 4 teams can get in. And they agreed on it. I'm like, why would you risk losing millions of dollars? Why would you risk it? I mean, if you just would have expanded to 6, you're making more money than you're losing money than what you're actually even gaining. And now they finally found out, oh, we can actually make more money now if we expand it to 12. Duh! This is what we were trying to tell you people from the damn start. Hey, but nope, you didn't want to do it.
Coach Jay, let's move. We got weeks to talk about this, man. As long as they keep whining about it, I'm pretty sure we will do more than oblige. It's content for the next few weeks until game week, anyways. But
Coach Smook, hit Prentice Mickens for you do. I think it's you see Prentice Mickens.
Prentice Mickens. I see it. It said Coach Shawn, to answer your question about Mike Gundy, is that he kept on trying to place the game in the running back Ollie hand when the game was steady getting out of hand. Man, that's all they have though. You can't be mad at them for that.
Facts, Prentice. All facts.
You can't be mad at them for that when that's all you built off of. I mean, and I think that's the situation we run into with Michigan. They don't have, man. If I've never seen a team that we can actually go out and put 8 in the box and just match up on the perimeter, man for man, this is the game we could do it. Michigan has no elite speed out there. And you talking about letting Amos, Arnold, Kool-Aid, Caleb, and possibly, I ain't gonna call the other guy name out.
I'm not scared of Roman Wilson. I'm not scared of Roman Wilson as the number one receiver going to Kool-Aid and turn on.
If Michigan come out in 4 wide set, I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh my tail off. I don't care if you splitting the tight end out there to make them your 4th. You come out in 4 wide. I know we got you shook off of that setup because we're not going to adjust. We're going to play personnel. We're going to match up, and is the talent gap and the film don't lie, man. But to move forward, man, let's get some early predictions on both playoff games. I know you want to do a whole bunch of the bowl games, but start off just early predictions with the playoff games. Starting with Texas, Washington. We didn't talk much, but we have. We got this play against Texas. I know we all watched Washington play the last couple weeks, especially leading up to Oregon. Looking at that game, early predictions, who has the edge? We don't necessarily have to get score. I'm gonna do a score prediction, but who has the edge in you all's mind and why?
I would probably, I'm gonna give it to Washington because Washington has been in so many situations where they should have lost and they found ways to win without playing like they have not even played up to what they're capable of. I think last week was kind of the showing that they could play a lot better than what they actually are. But they played super down to their competition. So many scenarios and so many situations where their defense and their special teams has been the one to make plays. I mean, there was a game when they almost lost to a 1-win football team because Michael Penix played like absolute dog water. But we all know that the potential that Michael Penix can have in the throws and the schematics that they have. I mean, they have one of the best. I mean, Grubbs is one of the best play callers in all of college football, one of the best pass schemers in the country. And now that you finally got McMillan back, I mean, that's a big game. That's one of the best receivers in the country right there. So now you have Polk, McMillan, and Alan Dunze. I mean, Texas is literally going to face a mirror of themselves, right? This is going to be a team that's going to spread you out. Right, they're gonna spread you out. They're not just gonna simply just align it and just close it in deep and allow Tavondre Sweat to simply just control and dictate and let the defensive front control and dictate the game. That's not how they're gonna do it. They're gonna spread you out. They're gonna run a lot of screens. They're gonna try to run a lot of misdirection. They're gonna run a lot of up tempo. It is gonna be a very interesting game between those two. But Washington this was probably the worst matchup I think for Texas. I think if they would have played us, there's some familiar ground with playing us, and again, I think it will be more of a defensive game than I think Texas would be scoring more, than teams would be scoring 30 or 40 points. If they got Michigan, Texas is winning that game against Michigan easily. Washington's the one team that I think from the first ground up with a month of preparation, it's going to be a little tricky to stop Washington offensively. Their defense can make plays. Like they're not as good as Texas is on front, but they're good enough. Braylon Trice is one of the best pass rushers in the country. They have a good enough guys in the front to cause issues and cause problems. I love their linebacking core, and their secondary is scrappy. They got a scrappy secondary. None of those guys are fearful. None of those guys are afraid. They will come up and hit you. Those are scrappy dudes that can force a lot of turnovers. So I think I'm gonna give Michigan the advantage. I think with everything going on with them so far,
you can give who the advantage?
Just the Huskies. I'm gonna give Washington. The advantage so far.
You said Michigan, boy.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, because Mike got
Carlos. He was just joking, Carlos. He was joking, bro.
He got contact from whatever Mike hitting. Oh Lord, AJ, our closet Auburn / Georgia / Tennessee fan showed up. AJ Maverick in here. What's up, AJ? Welcome to the chat, AJ.
Hey Jay, what up with
Hey
you,
Jay,
bro?
my guy, what's up?
No,
For
but
me,
I'll
man,
give the Huskies the advantage.
for me, it's tough, man, for me because I think Texas defensively would be the best team Washington faces. I think if Texas come to play with Trevondre Sweat and all them boys up front, they got speed on the outside. I think Texas secondary, as young as it is, can be had in spots. But I think this would be the best front seven that he's faced, even better than anybody in that conference, altogether. Texas is super talented in front seven, man. And if they're motivated, I think this will be the best team Washington has faced. I agree with Coach Jay that it's like looking in a mirror at each other. Very, very offenses like to spread each other out. Offenses that like to use a lot of misdirection. Offenses that like to get your linebackers running one way and hit you back the other way. Very, very similar offenses as far as schematically and certain plays they run. But I do believe Texas is a little bit more versatile. I think even though Washington can run the ball as well, I think Texas is a lot more successful in how they run the ball. They do a lot of different things, man, out of the spread offense, out of the shotgun, split backfield, a lot of different things they do, to get your eyes in the wrong place. And I think Texas defensively, when it comes down to it late in the game, will be a little bit better, I believe. Anytime you can put pressure on the quarterback and be physical in the front seven, I think it's going to make Michael Penix do more. I think it's going to be on his shoulders to do more. I think Washington's receivers will win some of those one-on-one battles. But I think Texas, if I had to pick a team, I think Texas beats Washington. I don't know the score. I'll just say they'll probably beat them by 10 points.
Yeah. I'm gonna go right along with you. I love what Washington offense can do. I just don't think that defense presents enough to disrupt what Texas likes to do on the offensive side, and that's build their game off of the tempo, off of the run game, the perimeter run game. I don't think Washington has the ability on the perimeter to force Texas out of that quick side-to-side, quick screen game that Sarkisian likes to use to set
those tight end screens.
Up. I mean, everything that Sarkisian likes to do, I don't think Washington has enough. They have guys, talent on their first lineup, but when you're going at that type of pace, if you're not getting them 3 and out, which is hard to do against Texas, when you're not built to play with that type of speed, Washington's not built to play with that type of speed. Oregon proved that. You just had a horrible decision making by Bo Nix in that game, where Washington had a lot of opportunities to lose that game. I don't think Texas is going to rely too much on Ewer's arm because they have 2 young guys in their running back room, and Jaden Blue and what's the other kid's name, man? CJ
Baxter. Yeah, Baxter.
I was watching those kids break off runs against Oklahoma State, and not saying Oklahoma State is anything worth talking about, but for those freshmen to step up in that moment, and at this point in the season, Jaden Blue with 56 carries, he's not a freshman anymore, and same with CJ Baxter. They're not freshmen anymore, so you're not getting true freshmen out there. These guys have had that pass pro, and Washington just doesn't present enough, schematically on the defensive side to make me believe that they can come out of this game with a win. And if they do, it's got to be because Texas is making mistakes. And I don't think Ewers and Sarkisian with 3 weeks to prepare for a team, I think they're going to have at least their first 3 scripts already ready. There won't be much looking to the sideline. No matter what they get, Ewers is going to be prepared. Same thing with Penix. I feel like they're going to pick their spots and they're going to be able to make some plays. But Texas up front, man, if Washington can't hold up front for 4 quarters, which is going to be hard for them. It's going to be a hard task. They haven't seen this much talent up front against their offensive line at all this season. And when they have, they've struggled. But the fact that they haven't seen this much talent across the board, like you said, Sweat, Murphy, what's my other guy? Burt. Who's the defensive tackle in the middle, man? He gave us issues just swallowing stuff up.
That was Sweat.
That
was Sweat.
And then you got,
they got
Anthony Hill on the second level at linebacker.
Hill, Ford,
that's
Burns,
what I was saying.
Edge rushing.
We've been talking about Ford a lot. He get a lot of the attention, but Hill is really that glue for that whole scheme and how they able to play at that level, because he will get active everywhere in the run blitz, in the run contain, in the drop coverage, in the the hook, the middle hook zone in the flats. He gets active. He gets out on screens. He great pursuit guy, run down plays. So I just don't know, man. This is the part of the season. This when you get to the college football playoff and games like this where styles kind of match up, but there are key positions where you need to have, that talent there to sure up those styles matching up. I think Texas has the slight edge, and that's what gives them the win. I'm going Texas 35, and I'm saying Washington can go 28, 20, 24, 35, 24, Texas.
Let me say this real quick too. We didn't speak on this. I don't know much about Washington's coach, but the playoffs is a month away, practice schedules, things of that nature. If you've never been to playoffs before, it's a little different. So Steve Sarkisian has obviously been in the playoffs with us, and he understands practice schedules. He understands how to manage things during this long layoff. That's going to be key. That's going to be key. And I know Steve Sarkisian, he knows the blueprint. I'm not sure about the experience of Washington's coach, but I know Steve is well versed on, with us on how to handle the layoff.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I will tell you that. It's going to be very interesting to see what Washington can do. I mean, like I said, they've gone away with it, man. But yeah, they're going to face an absolute juggernaut. I got some other bowl games we can try to focus on real quick before we talk about Army versus Navy. I guess Georgia and Florida State. That's a big one that we can talk about real quick, guys. Georgia, Florida State. What you guys kind of think about that game? And do you think Florida State? I mean, Rodemaker. Everyone's saying, hey, Rodemaker should, he could be the next Cardale Jones. What do you think? Do you think Florida State is good enough with the roster that they have to beat Georgia?
I think Kirby's going to talk most of his guys in the stand. I think Kirby, will lay the gauntlet down and lay a challenge down, to go out and fight for the legacy of Georgia. They kept them out of the playoffs on some BS, on a humbug. And I think Kirby's going to motivate those guys. Kirby's a great motivator. I think he'll have the guys that's going to play ready to play. And I think he's going to go out. And if I know Kirby smart, he's going to try to make he's going to try to send a message, a TCU type message, right? Them Florida State cats better be ready, man, because Kirby, if I know Kirby, just like he did with TCU, cuz it's not going, he ain't like Coach Saban. He's not going to take his foot off the gas at all. So I think Georgia will win that game. Just beat Georgia. You don't have to do anything special. They're not going to score on you. Just beat Georgia. Their defense will keep them in the game a while, but Georgia, just beat Georgia. They'll win that game.
I mean, for me, man, I don't see it, man. I see Carson Beck coming out, having the time of his life, playing football. This kid, the backup quarterback Vandergriff is leaving. Not sure, when he's gonna. He's already announced that he's going to be going to Kentucky. Not sure if he's just going from the program, but I see possibly an early, Garner Stockton showing or. I mean, that's just how this Florida State, because they don't have Jordan Travis. This I don't understand how Florida State wants to be in. They struggle with Louisville's front. You telling me Georgia front not gonna come in and just? This is one of those games where Kirby probably gonna let guys come in like, "Hey, coach, can I run this blitz? Can I run this blitz, coach?" Yeah, go ahead, son. You remember them games like that, man, where you just know that it's just there, man. And like you said, Kirby. Unlike Coach Saban, Kirby is a coach that knows how to engage with guys' emotions. He gets guys fired up. He's the pregame speech king, and that's just who he is. Coach Saban don't have to do that. He does his psychological prep, consistently. That's how Coach Saban gets guys ready. He allows other coaches to feel that emotional role. But Kirby, not only is he a defensive scheme genius, but he just knows how to get guys to buy in and get guys fired up. Kirby is the type of coach, and y'all watched that pregame speech he gave them boys, and I mean, knock them other. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When he had them boys hype up, he had me as a Bama fan hype. I was like, dang,
that's a fact.
I was ready to play against us. You know what I'm saying? That's he had me ready. I was like, but that team, bro, the matchups just don't favor Florida State. They have some talented receivers. Their defense, I don't think their defense is ready for Carson Beck and what this Brock Bowers, a healthy Bowers, is going to do. We know Bowers is going to the draft. McConkey's going to have time to heal up. They got some young guys, Malachi Muse, that I saw them trying to use against us. They want to get him worked into the offense to use his speed and his jet sweep game and that type of nature. Georgia's really going to do some things, kind of like we had to do with Mac Jones took over that year, and we went out and we whooped up Michigan in that bowl game. I think Georgia's got that same type of feel. I don't see many guys opting out, even draft eligible guys, high draft picks, whatever they get. I don't see them opting out. I think they're bought in. They lost to a good Alabama team, and they're not fine with it. They're content with it. They have something to push forward towards next season. But it starts with beating Florida State, and they're gonna whoop them boys. I got it. Georgia. I said Alabama because we looking in the mirror, but Georgia. I'm looking at Georgia 42. And I mean Florida State might not score. They barely could score against Louisville, man. I mean, I don't know, man. It's gonna have to be like a second or third team breakdown for Florida State to score.
Get Carlos dropping a Jew. Okay, Carlos, that's about the most Jew-ly thing you can say. It says Florida State wasn't the top 16, even with Jordan Travis. That's a good debate. One could probably name 5 teams that might be better than Florida State right now. So
not
that's
Michigan.
A good. Exactly. Like, come on, like, you know what I mean?
Kill all that. I ain't hearing Carlos until he tell me if he trying to bet. I don't care what you say, Carlos. You might be coming down off your high, but that you just you like Lane Kiffin when he just get off track, bro.
Just trolling on the Twitter.
Yeah, Lane get
just
crazy.
Keep digging. Just keep digging.
That's Lane too. Lane something serious, boy. But yeah, man. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good playoffs. You know what I mean? I do feel bad for the Florida State guys going undefeated, man. It just sucks. And the thing about it, man, is I'm surprised that it hadn't blew up in our face until now, because it's always been 4 teams. It's always been 5 Power 5 conferences, and they've always skated by. Somebody lost and somebody this, but not being a homer, just being an actual factual truth. Alabama, honestly, should have been in the playoffs last year, right? We lost 1 game by a field goal. We lost the other one in overtime by another point or 2, total of 4 points. You put TCU in above us because you said they had 1 loss. We had 2, and they was better deserving to go, which if that's what you're going by, cool. They were better deserving. We didn't win our conference, and neither did they. Their conference champion, we played in the bowl game and beat them like they stole something. Off of them. Right. So you put them in. You know, they beat Michigan, of course, which, you know, that was an easy win, of course.
Come on, Carlos, man. Come on, Carlos.
Right? Like, come on, man.
Carlos, your boys just making you look bad, man. Yeah, we don't even. All we got to do is just, if I wanted to, I go on YouTube and share just Michigan's big games over the past 6 seasons.
They embarrassed Michigan, and then Georgia was eating apples at halftime, laughing. Like, this is the team y'all put against us. You know what's so sad, Carlos? You know what's so sad, Mike and Carlos? Every team will tell you it is easier to win a playoff game than it is to win the SEC championship. And this is a fact. You can believe what you want. Every team that wins this play will tell you, hell, I had a hard time playing Georgia or playing Bama or playing. It's harder to win this SEC championship. That's why the SEC championship was almost 20 million people, and these other conference championships were 7 million, 11 million, 9 million, 4 million. That's why the most eyeballs was on the SEC championship, brother. You can lie to yourself all you want, but the truth is in the details.
Yeah, Georgia's going to kill Florida State. There's no simple put and around it. And again, Florida State, I don't even think they were a top 16 with Jordan Travis. I mean, the amount of games that they struggle with, almost losing to Boston. Again, they should have lost to Boston College. They should have lost to Clemson in that overtime sequence. They were losing to Duke, or they were in a battle with Duke until Riley Leonard pretty much sprained his ankle. I mean, Florida State just hasn't looked impressive. Again, the Miami game was sloppy, 27-20. Oh, what was going on with David Kendall?
David Kendall, I don't know if y'all were if he's been paying attention in my in some of my chats and stuff, but I literally said this. UCF was literally in the same position. To me, UCF from 2017 is literally Florida State this year. A bunch of close games that you go back and look at UCF schedule that year. They was winning games.
A bunch of close.
They beat really Florida State that year, didn't they? Didn't they beat Florida State in 17 when they lost Francois? I think UCF beat them that year. Whoever it was a troll team that, you know, everybody was saying that was the best team in Florida. I guess it was UCF. You get what I'm saying? Like they but Michigan has no claim to nothing as of relevancy. Nothing. I mean, Ohio State is your ticket every year. That's been your only ticket for the past 5, 6, 7 years.
It's the only game they play all year.
And y'all just now handling them the last 2 years. You know
why they call it the game? Because it is only the game on your schedule.
The only game.
Yeah, that's it.
The only game. So
here's the thing. Carlos says, but this year's different. NIL has evened the playing field. Carlos, let me ask you a question. I know you're probably speaking for the Big Ten. Who's winning the SEC right now? Bama, Georgia, Bama, Georgia. So how even has it? Maybe you speaking for your team and your conference, but it's the same old in our conference, brother. You know what I mean?
Matter of fact, recruiting in the transfer portal has actually gone down. It's actually gotten worse in the Big Ten conference. It's actually made Michigan, Ohio State more powerful than any other team in your conference. Yeah. Iowa doesn't have a lick of offense. Does NIL and the transfer portal help with that?
I want to get on that subject a little bit before we get out of here. We got about 5 minutes. I don't know why Bama fans feel like we need to dive into this transfer portal. I think we did our transfer portal work while we were trying to find the right staff. And that's why you saw us hit the portal like we did the last few years. This year, with the type of talent that we got in, and what you mean, J-Mo Speed? We got J-Mo Speed. We got Barnes coming back next year. We got Emmanuel Henderson possibly coming back. Like, it just hasn't had a chance to be displayed. You had to grow with Jalen Milroe. Man, did you not see how Jalen Hale was burning DBs from Georgia this past game? Like, and he's not even a speed guy. This is first year. You know, you got Mbakwe coming next season. He 4-4 solid guy. You know, Ryan Williams. I mean, just so many. I don't know, man. So I'm not a big believer in the transfer portal going in and I understand going in and creating value, but when you have a team like you have with Alabama, you going and get in spots like we did this year. Inside linebacker, we had to go and get one. Had to go find some experience at safety, and all it did was create better competition in all those positions. We had to go find some experience at quarterback, and you see all the positions we need to improve because of the transfer portal. It wasn't the transfer portal guys that made it improve. It was literally them coming in and creating that competitive nature in Alabama. And we're not paying for no guys that don't want to be there, you know? So that's just my quick take on it as far as transfer portal and how Alabama's recruiting. I think we're at such a consistent rate. You don't have to dive and go overhaul like Auburn did and have your starting defense be transfers, you know? So we're in good shape right now. I don't think we bail on this year.
Carlos, I know you speak for Michigan and I respect it, right? But you should probably speak on Michigan, bro. We play in a real conference, right? We play in a conference where you play LSU, you play Ole Miss, you play Tennessee, you play Texas A&M. You play teams that can beat you every week. We're not playing Maryland. We're not playing something called Rutgers.
Carlos is not coming back after we beat them. I guarantee it. He is getting it out. He is going to be trying to get it out. Everything he feel like he can say. He going to try to get it out every week into that game. After that game, we won't see Carlos again. Until Michigan. Come on, man.
That's Kentucky. We all know it.
Pacino, $5 super chat. Washington beat Texas with the same team in Alamo Bowl last year, 27-20. I mean, I ain't gonna say this the same Texas team, bro. That defense was not this defense. This Texas defense is serious, and the only reason Texas looks bad is because of the offensive struggles when they lost Ewers. And, you know, even before he went down, he would start slow, but they would always pull away. This is 3 weeks of prep, 3 weeks of physical therapy, like all this stuff to get healthy, sit there for 2 or 3 days straight, no physical, nothing, no strain, just watching film and prepping. It's about to get ugly for Washington if they can't find a way to get a lot of defensive stops. They're going to need them. They're going to need them. They're going to score, but they're going to have to make stops too.
Shout out Carlos. Come on back with us, man. Come on. Hey, facts. Come on back with us.
Y'all getting a fan of me. Facts. I appreciate you.
Because we do got to end this thing. We be going for like an hour and a half. I didn't even recognize it.
We be going, man.
Yeah, we be going crazy. But just real quick, Army Navy kind of score predictions. Quick take. Let's do.
Oh, can I go first?
Yes.
You got to go first. You the
You
military
already
guy.
know I'm going with my Army. You know, I served 7.5 years for this country, man. And it taught me a lot. Being in the Army taught me a lot. But watching this game, I never paid attention to it until I joined the military. My dad was in the Army. My grandfather, you know, he served. I got uncles, people all over my family served in the military. A lot of Air Force, a lot of Army, mainly Air Force and Army. We had one Navy. So I get to, you know, kind of talk trash with my cousin this weekend. But this game is more about pride than it is about what's happening on the field. And to see, you know, people who are going to serve this country go out there and display their athletic ability and do it on a level where it's nationally televised. It's a lot of pride behind this game. And as a former soldier, you never say ex-Marine or ex-soldier or ex-Navy. As a former soldier, somebody who proudly served my country, had the best time, some of the best moments in my life as a soldier, meeting so many people, man. This Army-Navy game is just pure, like, pride. You know, I don't go to bars to watch games, but I plan on finding a bar, being that I live in a military town, and just that camaraderie. We have Marine guys on this base. We have Navy guys on the base that I stay next to. So I'm excited. I got my Army guys pulling it out 14-12. You know, I don't even guess score prediction because these teams, they're starting to evolve. I don't know if you've watched the Army game this year, but there's been like 12 pass attempts a game. You know, it used to be 4, 1 pass attempt a quarter, but now there's 12. We're getting somewhere. You know, so Black Knights, we're gonna roll. I feel like it's a weekend. They play this game always matters, just like Auburn, Alabama. You know, you could have a hot Navy team coming in like they did a few years ago, 2021, I think that was, and Navy upset them, and it was the big talk of the weekend. So hopefully we could pull another one. I think they're giving Navy the edge right now, but I'm pulling for my Army boys. Go Army, Hull, infantry, airborne, air assault, infantry lead the way. That's how we do it.
For me, Coach Jay, I've never been in the military, but I played college football with a lot of teammates who ended up enlisting. I work in aerospace right now, and the Army buy most of our weapons. Shout out to my boy Big A. You know what I mean? He's a military vet. You know, 10+ years. My homeboy Kelvin Wyndham, Sergeant Major. You know, doing big things. You know, all these dudes, Smook. You know, all these guys, man. I watch these guys. If I had to make a prediction, it would be Army 21, Navy 17.
I'm gonna go with Navy. All my family members are all from the Navy.
Yeah, you told me that.
They're gonna kill me if I do Army. Shout out to my 2 cousins, Peyton Salvia. They're all military brats. They just got in there, man. So it's literally, I think 4th generation now, as far as all family members being literally Navy. I don't think anyone's been served in anywhere else, Marine, like in the Army. I don't even think Marines. I think it's just strictly just Navy. So I got to go with the Navy. Got to go with them, man. Hopefully we can get it back rolling. But no, I love these games. These are fun games, man. These triple option type offenses go. Normally, I hope it snows because last year I think
it usually snows, man. Really cool. That's what makes the game.
I can't wait for it.
Read Ephraim, Jared. Read Ephraim.
Jay so wrong. Ephraim Army too, man.
Yeah.
Ephraim's Army too. It's a lot of them. I mean, if you in Alabama, you know, 9 times out of 10, you either Air Force or Army. There's very few Navy bases, in most of the bases in Alabama are Joint Force bases. So you have small detachments of, you know, Marine, Navy. You know, you don't get no Coast Guards, but you'll find small detachments. But it's usually Army and Air Force. So. But this game, Army-Navy game, like somebody in the chat said, man, it's the last game of the season. I think that was James was saying that just tells you it's the last game of the regular season. And it kind of just, everybody enjoys watching that game. I don't care who you are, whether it's just out of respect or just out for the game itself. Because it's quality football. It's just not high flying and high pace. It's really quality football.
Yeah,
passionate, physical football. Mm-hmm. You see coaches into it. You see the both sides, the shipmen and the soldiers, both on both sides, they're both in it. I mean, I would, man, it would be awesome to just
the trash they talk, because my cousin when he was with Navy, he went to that game. He said the trash that those two be talking, man, is serious. So
crazy.
And yeah, Mike Ford even said it. Both teams need this win to be bowl eligible. So
that's what's up.
I mean, I would love for that to play out, and them Black Knights. I ain't gonna say mine, but them Black Knights to go ahead and do it, because this will be their first bowl game since 2018, I believe, or 2017.
One of those years. It was the year when they went like 10 and 3. That was a crazy year. Almost beat Oklahoma.
Retired Marine here. So NFC boys, you pulling for Navy. I know Marines, they basically Navy. They fall under Navy as far as the branches of service. But yeah, man, this I love this game, man. Just like I said, the passion that goes into it, man. I thought when I was when I got stationed at Fort Hood, quick story. When I got stationed at Fort Hood, I thought when they were sending out these letters to go and try out for all Army athletics and stuff, I was eligible. You know, I had passed the PT test and everything. I went and made the basketball team, and I didn't know that in order to go to West Point until I was a specialist. I didn't know in order to go to West Point, it was kind of like you had to be in college. You know what I'm saying? You had to be trying to be an officer, and I was like, dang. I ain't trying to be no officer. I was an infantryman. I ain't trying to be no officer. You know, we get frowned upon. You go from enlisted to officer back in that time. I was kind of old school time, but now I wish I would have stayed in, bro, because that officer pay and going to West Point, I've heard so many stories about guys going to West Point and cruising through their careers, man. You get
let me say
so
this
many
before
people.
we get off.
I'm telling you, man.
To what Coach Smook was just talking about. My partner, Kelvin Wyndham, right now, A&M with me, wide receiver. You know, we were doing our thing, bro. He played wide receiver. Man, got out, went back to his neighborhood, got in some trouble. You know what I'm saying? And his father was in the military. His father was a little older, had retired. So Kelvin really enlisted not out of his own, his dad really gave him an ultimatum. Enlist or you got to get up out of here. You know, He enlisted. Kelvin been in the Army now for 22 years, man. He's a sergeant major. He travels every weekend. He's still active. He goes to all the military bases to see whatever logistics. He's stationed here in Huntsville, Redstone Arsenal, making great money, by the way, making great money. So
yeah,
shout out to him, man. Shout out to Big A, my boy Anthony, 10-year vet, these dudes. So great careers for those guys, man. Great careers.
Yeah, man. But yeah, man, I like y'all said, man, this is gonna be a good one. I think it'll be fun to talk about it, even in the live game chat. We'll be in there talking all the game. You know, that's the only game this weekend. But definitely be in there talking about this Army Navy game. I always get into it, man. So I'm excited to see it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. So we've been going for almost 2 hours. My goodness gracious. I think it's like the longest.
James Richardson, last comment. That's really important.
I was going to eat it. He said, I'm losing my sister to cancer. Please keep her in your prayers tonight. Enjoy the show. Hey, man.
Absolutely, James. We're praying for her, man.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
Definitely.
James.
For sure, man. And I don't know, we don't talk religion on this show, but definitely positive thoughts and prayers up for everything, man, because
I got you, James.
We got family. I got family that's dealing with stuff, and everybody has something that they're dealing with. But we definitely appreciate you for confiding in us, man. It's a football talk show, and he feel like he part of the fam enough to ask for us.
James, I promise you that, brother.
Man. I promise you. I don't play about when I say I'm gonna pray for you. Believe I'm gonna pray.
Yes, sir.
I pray. So.
We troll a lot. Like we like to troll a lot, a bunch of teams. Obviously, a lot of you guys, from different fan bases like to come in. But this is what we want, man. This is a football community.
It's a community.
And, in the serious and tough times, man, we're all going to come together. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Facts,
Mike,
man.
Carlos.
Yes, sir.
Man. Much love, y'all. See, this is what we want, man. This is what we want, man. This is what we want. This is what we want in the chat. This is what we come here for. And I'm glad tonight's show came the way it did, because this was a pick me up for me. My son's birthday. Shout out to my son. He said he was going to sneak on. He said he was going to sneak on YouTube and watch the show tonight. So if you still watching, Isaiah Montre Hines, happy 13th birthday to you from your father and the cast, Coach J, Coach Shawn. He said, "Listen, this is how big we're getting, y'all. My son is 13 at a middle school in Montgomery, Alabama. I'm not going to give all this information out, but they go back and watch our takes and stuff, on Thursdays, on Tuesdays. I mean, kids, young Bama fans know who Coach Smook, Coach J, and Coach Shawn are. You know what I'm saying? Like that is crazy to me to be recognized on that level. So, and it's all thanks to y'all. So as we get out of here, we do. Y'all know where to find me at Coach Smook on everything, passing it. That's it.
Yep. Coach J on Twitter for the most part. Jant's on YouTube for the most part. If you want to catch some of my takes. And then, like I said, Bama Insiders, Mondays, Wednesdays. I think I think we're off for the most part on Sundays until we can try to get to that post-game show after Alabama, Michigan. But for the most part, Monday, Wednesdays, same exact time, catch us.
Same thing. Me on Twitter, JMHO Sports Talk, just my humble opinion. And right here on Bama Football on YouTube with the great Kyle Henderson.
All right.
Facts. I'm just running. Look, I'm just running through them. So we got one last one. David Kendall came in. There you go. With the $2 super chat, he said the SEC is the NFL of college football. Can't disagree.
Facts.
And what I will say this, and I don't want us to get deep into this, but lately, the gripe against our conference that is a 2-team conference is slowly returning to what it used to be. After this season, I saw, even though you had only 2 undefeated teams going into the SEC championship, that 2nd through 6 is starting to become a lot closer as far as talent gap. And you see teams pushing Georgia. You see teams pushing Alabama. You saw Missouri push Georgia. You saw who else pushed Georgia? Was that Auburn? Auburn pushed Georgia.
South Carolina. Believe it or not.
Carolina. Yeah, they almost beat them.
Yeah, they did. I keep forgetting about that one. Dang, I keep forgetting because Rattler just don't have an offensive line. But like this conference, because of NIL, and Coach Saban said this. He said not everybody's going to be able to keep up if they don't put any parameters on NIL. SEC got money. Everybody in the SEC just about got money. I think Vanderbilt probably your weakest. Kentucky probably fall behind them.
Yeah, they're baseball. They put all their money into baseball.
Exactly, and that's they know that. They know that. Florida got money. You know, I mean, now you bringing Texas and Oklahoma into the SEC. You think kids ain't about to be chasing that bag? They already doing it now. 3,000 names in the transfer portal. I didn't even know it was 3,000 players on total rosters in college football.
That's disgusting. But yeah, guys, college football talk. I didn't think we even get to the bowl games, or at least some of the major bowl games that we wanted to get into. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Transfer portal, playoffs, more talk, stuff like that. Trust me, you definitely want to catch us more on Wednesdays for more college football talk. Mondays, coaches. I think we're back with the coaches show. I think for the most part, I think we're gonna get into the film work, the schematics of the Michigan Wolverines game.
I'm working on bringing it up for us.
Yep. So Carlos, Mike, stop, catch us on Monday, man, because we're going to talk way more about that game compared to what we are going to be doing on Wednesdays. But from Coach Shawn, Coach Smook, and Coach Jay, this is College Football Talk with the coaches, and we will catch you guys later.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
Now we got to wait for the spinning wheel of doom. Carlos, Mike, you never been here before. This is what we do. The spinning wheel of